or watching the recording. Today I'm bringing you a short topic, but not less important, because generally speaking, for most nationalities in the world, visiting the EU or the Schengen space, or including the Czech Republic, means getting a short-term visa to come here. So most nationalities in the world are not allowed to visit or enter the Schengen space with no visa. So you always, if you're an Indian, or if you're from basically any African country, most of Asian countries, if you want to come to the EU or the Schengen space, you need to get a short-term visa even for a one day stay. If you want to see a concert of someone who's performing in Prague, you need to get a short-term visa for that. But then there is a basket of countries, of roughly 50 countries, that have the exception of not needing a visa for up to 90 days stay, a tourist stay in the Schengen area, including the Czech Republic. And because it's kind of an important topic, because that's usually how many of our clients get here, because we work a lot with a lot of Americans, Canadians, Australians, these kind of nationalities that have this exception. And so most of our clients come here this way using the 90 days visa-free stay. And then it's super important to know how it all works and when exactly your 90 days run out, so we know how to plan the visa process and all that. So I wanted to cover this topic, but first I have a challenge for you. There is between, I believe, 50 or 60 countries. I definitely counted that some time ago, but I don't remember, but something around 50 to 60 countries with this exception, that you can come to the Schengen space with no visa required. Guys, please comment and let's try to get all of them. I will personally check all the comments and we'll be checking the ones that are correct, and hopefully we'll get all of them right. But okay, so if you're among one of these nationalities that have this exception that you can come to Schengen space with no visa required, it basically means that you can go on a plane, sit on a plane, ideally inside of the plane, I guess, and fly to the Schengen space, land here, and that's it. Your passport will get stamped in the first Schengen stop of yours, and that's basically when your 90 days, the visa-free stay, starts. So it means you don't need to get any visa. As of now, you don't need to get registered anywhere. That should start with the new ETIAS program, which I described in another video a couple months ago, but that's not effective yet. So basically, if you're from the US, you board a plane in New York, and then you land in Frankfurt, and they stamp your passport with the date when you entered Frankfurt or Germany and Schengen space. And from them, then the 90 days count. It's important to understand that it's 90 days. So it's not 3 months, it's not 3 calendar months, it's not 3 like full months, it's exactly 90 days. So it doesn't mean that if you landed on the 25th of 1 month, it will be 3 months later on the 25th. Because some months have 30 days, some months have 31 days, some months have 28 days. So this number actually changes. It can happen the way that it will be like the same day 3 months later, but usually it's like a couple days either way different. So it's very important to calculate it properly, because it might sound like a small thing, but if you don't calculate it, you just say, hey, I arrived on the 25th, I will leave on the 25th 3 months later, and then you're leaving and the border police stops you and they look at your passport, say, hey, man, you've been overstaying for a couple of days, and they give you a ban for coming back like for the next 6 months or something. Not that it would really happen with these nationalities who have this exception, but it could, and technically it should, because you've overstayed your allowance, and you should get like penalized. That's a weird word, but you should get a penalty for doing that, either a fine or a ban, or at least like boo boo boo, don't do it ever again. So that's one thing. And how to calculate that? There is a tool I use when we calculate it, because we calculate this for every person we work with. If you come here without a visa, if you have the visa-free stay, we need to know exactly when that expires, so we know the deadline for you submitting your visa application or partnership visa application or whatever, so we need to calculate it exactly. And there is this tool which is called Schengen Calculator, which you can find on the, I guess if you Google it and you just click the link which leads to the official EU website, not any other links, but the Schengen Calculator for the EU website, then it gives you a pretty simple tool. It might be a bit difficult to navigate in the beginning because it's a bit weird in the beginning, but once you learn how to work with that, that gives you exactly, that can calculate in the past if you overstayed. It can also give you the exact date if you entered today, then when you should leave. And it of course becomes a bit more complicated to calculate because if you don't stay in one row like the full 90 days and then you leave for 90 days, but if you visit for a couple of days, then you leave, then you visit for a couple of days, then you leave. Because the 90 days are 90 days in the last 180. So if you have from today 180 days back, you can stay here for 90 days. Then if we move to tomorrow, it will be from tomorrow 180 days back, you can stay here for 90 days. So it's kind of always moving forward, the period of 180 days. And in any given 180 days period, you can be here for 90 days. So if you, for example, spend here 30 days, then you leave for a month, then you come back for 45 days, then you leave for a month, then the next time when you come here, say again after a month, you only have, say, 15 days left. You know, and you need to be very careful with that, especially if you travel a lot and you don't really keep it in mind, then you should definitely from time to time do this calculation at the Schengen calculator, because it can very easily calculate it for you. You just put there the entry date, exit date, entry date, exit date, entry date, exit date, and then the last entry, and that calculates exactly how many days you have left, or if you've already overstayed, or it can give you some other information. So I definitely recommend using this tool, because trying to calculate it in your own head or on paper, that's easy if it's like the full 90 days in a row. But if you travel and if you spend different times here, then it's not that easy. Yeah, I think this is the most the part I wanted to share. I'm thinking if there is something else as well, but maybe one more thing. These 90 days, or a couple more things actually, these 90 days are meant for tourist purposes. Okay, so it's not officially meant for working or studying or anything like that. If you wanted to have this kind of purpose of stay, then you should apply for a short-term visa with that purpose of stay, like studies or business or employment. You can do it even if you have this 90 days exception. If you want to come here to work for 90 days, then you should apply for a short-term visa for employment or for work. Not that anyone does it in real life, but officially these 90 days are only meant for tourism. Also, when your 90 days are up, you should officially leave the Schengen space and wait outside for, usually it's the full 90 days. If you spend here a full 90 days, then you need to leave for full 90 days. But again, if you traveled and you spend here first like 15 days, then 30 days, then 45 days, whatever, then since the period of 180 days is still moving forward, then some of the days you spent here in the beginning will be erasing. So you might be able to come back for 15 days and so on and so on. So it might work a bit differently if you travel frequently, but if you spend here 90 days, you need to leave for 90 days. If you don't leave officially, you're staying illegally. I will not like publicly talk about how much authorities care about that or not, and how they can really find out if you've been here overstaying or not. So you can get the idea, but officially you should leave when your 90 days are up and only come back once they restore. It does not really work, at least in the Czech Republic, it does not really work the way that you just leave for one day and then you come back next day and your 90 days are restored. I know it works like that in some countries, but not in the Czech Republic and generally not in Schengen area. Although there can be on top of it, because this seems like a very simple topic, but actually if you know the like how it's all related and all that, it's not that simple. But just to give you a small glimpse of all that, this rule is generally applied to the whole Schengen area. So if you come here for 90 days, the 90 days are generally for the whole Schengen. So Czech Republic plus Germany plus France plus Spain plus Poland, all the countries combined. So it's not like 90 days for the Czech Republic, 90 days for Poland, 90 days for Spain. It's 90 days in total. So if you spend 45 days in the Czech Republic, then you can only spend 45 days somewhere else, like Germany, France, wherever you want to travel. Although there might be individual bilateral agreements, bilateral agreements, whatever, like agreements between two countries, for example, Czech Republic and the US, that can give you some additional rights or additional 90 days. We, for example, have this kind of agreement, I believe, with South Korea and some other countries, like 5 more countries, that if you spend the full 90 days in the Schengen area, but not in the Czech Republic, so let's say you spend 90 days in Germany, then on top of it, you can come to the Czech Republic for additional 90 days. So you can technically spend here 180 days in total, but then you need to be careful because you need to fly directly out of Schengen. You cannot fly to Germany, there transfer, and then out of Schengen. You need to fly directly from the Czech Republic because you have no Schengen days left anymore. So there can be agreements like this between between different countries. I know that, for example, for Americans, there is a special agreement with Poland where you can kind of travel as you like, as long as you always leave from Poland and you land in Poland. So that can give you some benefits if you're worried about the 90 days. But those would be specific agreements between two countries, and that's very difficult to keep track of, and sometimes even to find out the information, because even for the Czech Republic, to get this information, what countries we have agreements with, bilateral agreements with, so you can stay on top of the regular 90 days in the Czech Republic. That's pretty difficult. There is this one page where you can find it, like the governmental page, but if you are not Czech speaker, if you're not familiar with the website or generally the Czech governmental website, it's almost impossible to find it. You need to know exactly where to go, where to look for it. And I can imagine that it's the same story in all the different countries. So it's safest to just stick to the general rule of 90 days for the whole Schengen and not really think about some extra agreements with that given country. But in some cases, it can save your ass. And now I'll be banned from the YouTube algorithm. But yeah, that's basically what I wanted to talk about. Please let me know if you have any questions about that, or if you maybe know about some agreement which could help your fellow travelers. Because, for example, this agreement with Poland, between Poland and the US, is a great agreement actually, because it gives you a lot of like freedom, let's say, in a way. So if you know about some agreements and if you can add some links to those, then please do it. And also, as mentioned in the beginning, comment which countries you think that have the 90 days visa-free stay, and I will tick the ones which are correct, and hopefully we will get to the total number, which is somewhere between like 50 and 60. So hopefully this was useful. If it was, please share it with others whom it might help. And I will see you again Monday, Thursday, until the end of the world. Good night, guys.